Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sergey from VIP Constrictors. Today we are visiting NERD, the New England Reptile Distributors. So let's go in. Let's look at some cages here. Oh, there he is.
Ciao guys.
If the camera can focus. This is late. That's beautiful. I think they're breeding. Well, hugging at least. This is prehensile tail skink. This is a very interesting animal right here. Oh, now the tortoise is running away from us. Anything interesting in here? Whoop. Red-sided garter snake. Some fish, very nice. More fish. Very cool. Very cool. This is interesting. Alright, the battery is running out, so let's go and change the battery. And the pre-tour continues. This is a green anaconda. Beautiful snake. Here is a ball python. Okay. Those cages seem empty, unless, oh no, here is a boa for you. Let's try to zoom in. It's just the red light, she's not really that red. Some cool fish right here. We have a turtle here. Look at him or her. That's amazing. Oh. Talking about interacting with them. Right, there we go.
Alright, so where we're entering here is called New England Reptile Distributors. This is where we breed all of our large cold-blooded animals. So you guys want to head right into this room? We've got a few little guys in here. We're going to go to the Reptile.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
There we go.
Look at the big snakes, buddy. Oh, I love that one.
Oh, beautiful Riddics right here.
The big snakes, buddy. Are you gonna hold on? No.
So as a few of you guys might know,
This is a cow.
these little snakes are called reticulated pythons. These guys get regularly over 20 feet in length, or at least the mainland ones do. The word reticulated means net-like. It's a Greek word. And you might be able to see on some of the animals, like this one right in here, a crisscross pattern that goes down their back. Now that's intended to simulate the leaf litter on the forest floor. That way both their predators and their prey will have a harder time. I'm going to try and take him out
Snuffles.
here. So if you guys notice, the first thing I do when I go in here is I rub this animal with a hook. And now the important bit about rubbing this animal with the hook is that it's not warm or furry or mammalian like my hand. The first thing I do when I come in here is grab this animal with my hand. He's going to be real excited to see me because sometimes when I do that, I'm coming in to bring him food. So we don't want that kind of mistake to happen where you put your hand in and you elicit a food response. So ever since these animals were really young babies, we rub the back of their necks with a metal hook or a plastic hook like that, just so that they can start to associate being taken out with something touching it that isn't warm or food-like. But now that this animal's feed response is turned off, you can see he's doing these great long tongue flicks. That's part of the reason why I know that this animal is safe to interact with right now, because he's using his senses. So you guys probably know, snakes smell with their tongue. He's picking up all the large particles in the air, and then he's sticking. Because of his condition, his teeth stick out a little bit, and they could snag on you by accident, so we don't want that. You feel that he's not sticky or slimy or any of the things that you might hear on TV.
Reticulated python.
Normally does.
So this is green anaconda.
Yeah.
And she's in shed a little bit.
Oh yeah. So you can be a little bit tricky to interact with because while they're in shed, they're going to be a little bit more nervous.
This one is
like I was saying about the long tongue flicks being a good indicator of the animal being in a thinking state. When you know that they don't have access to their vision like they usually do, they're going to be in a lot more of a defensive mindset because they can't use those sensory inputs. So they're not going to be thinking as
There's Sun tiger reticulated python. And the king of the snakes, the green anaconda. Water monitors.
These back here are two of our male pelvier dwarf caimans. These are South American species of crocodilian. These two males are actually full size. There's a female that's not in here right now. They're full size.
Trying to get up,
We
as
have
usual.
the first ones that have ever reproduced in captivity. We were the first people to breed them.
Stick your finger in there. Because they can bite your finger off.
And we're off to
They got really
Hang on. Oh, he's trying to do it. So if everyone got a chance to see the caiman, I'll have you guys move down that way. I'll start pulling out a couple of the turtles we have here.
Come over here, buddy.
Get down low so the people behind us can still see you.
beautiful. The nerd is the first one who bred them in captivity.
You're already low.
And those are the turtles. Those are the snapping turtles, huh?
So you guys have probably seen these if you live around here. This is a common snapper. This is a male, fully grown. This is as large as the males will get. The females will get quite a bit bigger, up to 40 pounds. This one lives here all the time, so you can see he's quite tame. He even lets me touch near his mouth. When in the wild, or if you see one of these cross a wild turtle, and we're trying to help him to cross the road, I would want to pick him up by the back of his shell, just like this, to make sure that both his claws can't get at me, neither can his beak. You might notice that he has a scissor-shaped beak that's sharp on the top and on the bottom. You might not be able to see because he won't open his mouth there, but that's all right. That's designed to take like little pizza slice bites out of whatever he's trying to eat. And that's because in the wild, these guys will eat a lot of carrion, or dead animal matter. And usually that dead animal will be a lot larger than them, so they need to bite off smaller pieces.
Yeah.
You might notice a difference with this type of turtle. This is an alligator snapping turtle. These guys only live in the southeast of the United States, in the Florida Panhandle area.
Go.
And he's opening his beak nice and wide for you. These guys are much less likely to snap at you than the common snapping turtles are. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a mean bite. They have a much, much stronger bite force, and wiggling a little pink worm. Might be able to see in the other one a little better. See his tongue there is a little pink worm. Now he'll sit there. Don't bite your foot. What are you doing? He'll wiggle that tongue around until a fish comes by and bites down on it. And then with their narrow beak and their extreme bite force, they can shut their mouth really quickly in the water. You might notice these spikes on the top and on the bottom of his beak. And that's very similar to seafaring birds that catch a lot of fish. And that's all so that they can waste the least amount of energy going after their food and moving around like the common snapping turtles do. And that allows these animals to get much, much larger. So this animal over here, his name's Bubba. If you guys want to move a little farther down that way, just so I could put him on the floor here.
Oh, here comes Bubba.
This is also an animal and over 100 years old. I'm going to try and put him right there. So you guys want to be at least behind the tub line, probably. So there's been a few cases where people get bit by these animals and they'll go to the hospital. And unfortunately, these animals are very stubborn. They don't like to let go. So we try not to get anybody bit, mostly because it would result in the animal having to be put down. And these alligator snappers are actually reaching a threatened state because apparently they're very delicious. Like I said, we saved this one from a Louisiana soup kitchen. And they can't move very fast, but they are heavy. And you see these big ridges on his back. He's going to use these ridges to coat himself in leaves and moss and all kinds of things to help disguise him so that he doesn't have to move around or do a whole lot of making himself very obvious. That way he could just wait there. We can always tell when he's hungry because he'll just be sitting there with his mouth hanging open just like this, waiting for some food to come by. So these animals have been found with musket balls lodged in their shells, which not only means that the animal would have to be around in a time where musket balls were being shot, but it also probably have to be big enough to survive being hit with a musket ball. You can see they have a very prehistoric look. These animals are virtually unchanged from the times of the dinosaurs. He's got all of his face parts right up at the top, so he has to do the least amount of work to get up to the surface, get a breath of fresh air, and a little bit of a look around. I think that's another acceptable way to pick up some of these turtles, even if they're little guys. If you guys want to get a picture. Hold them up before I put them back.
It's such a gorgeous animal.
Here, I'll help you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's too late now. Yeah,
All right.
it's a little zoomed in there.
The tail, because you only possibly separate their vertebrae, cause extreme pain or even paralysis. So that wouldn't be very nice. Whereas you could just pick them up by the rear ends of the shell. It picks up the whole shell uniformly by their spine. They are very, very smart, but they're smart enough also to be a little bit nervous. So we don't usually try and take them out.
Oh, it's all the way.
But the water monitors here have a lot more cone-shaped talons, more similar like a bird or a dog. So they can be taken out even when you don't trim their claws. Like most of these babies don't have trimmed claws. So if any of the adults actually want to hold one of these guys, and I ask that anyone 18 plus can hold it if they choose to. Just keep one hand in front of the other. Don't try and hold him back. Just keep him going to a higher spot wherever he feels safe. He wants to feel like he's on a tree branch or on a perch somewhere high where he's in control and he's safe. Just like a cat, when you hold them back, they'll try and run in place. So just let me know if you want me to take them back.
Yeah, you can let somebody else hold it.
Anyway,
Look at people who haven't done it.
So they're-
before you. I've done it 1,000 times.
Their claws are almost shaped like little ice hooks, and that's in order so that they can hold on to something like a tree without having to exert that much force into grasping.
any
They can
chance
kinda
you can hold it?
they can just run forward almost like an iguana.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, they are sharp. Yeah, it's a little hard to
Yeah, there he is.
grab on my bracelet.
So if they get a little bit antsy, it's usually just because there's a lot of eyeballs looking at them. And they're going to want to go to the highest point. So just make sure if he starts to try and climb up your face, you let him climb up your hand instead. You wouldn't want to accidental hook to the eyeball. But he's going to try and climb up on top of your head, somewhere up high, somewhere he feels safe and in control of the situation. Almost like a cat, where they want somewhere that gives them a little bit of
This way?
this one down here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. They got good until that one jumped.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yes, you are so teacher.
You don't want anyone?
Can I pet her in her room?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this little.
I definitely need a big cage for those guys.
15 people in a room that's already.
Yeah, these guys, when they're fully grown adults, definitely need at minimum a stall like this. They need enough room that they can both have a tub for them to cool off in and a hot spot that's around 135 degrees. And what that does is helps them to always identify a hand. So if your hand comes towards them a little bit quickly, they have a decision to make. They see something moving quick, their instincts tell them that that might be their only chance to get some food. But because we're introducing to them our hands since the time that they're very, very small, they see it almost as another monitor's face, which they never bite at another monitor's face, just out of the respect and caution that there might be some retaliation. So they are very fearful of us, and they do have a self-preservation instinct. So as long as they're understanding of the situation and of where we are in relation to them, then there's never any issue.
The baby newborn pied reticulated python.
Yeah. And it's unusual to have the head without any color, to have like the pure.
Are you selling it? That would be an interesting animal
There's
to
a
have.
whole class.
Undercoat of fur. And when you breed two of them together, you can get what's called a super rex.
This is
And
a
that's similar with the
micro-scale
micro-scale
python.
snakes. If you breed two of the micro-scale snakes together, there's a chance that you'll get a scaleless snake. So that's part of our project here, is we're trying to make snakes that have no scales on the ground. Why would you bite the ground?
This
really?
is a blood
They're
python.
logic. But if you're poking at them, if you're nervous, if you're coming at them like they're gonna bite you, even just me moving my pinky a little bit, he's turning his head to the right to get mad at me. If you see him stick his tongue out, just like a little millimeter out of his mouth, that means, hey, I'm terrified, I'm about to flash, I'm about to strike, I'm about to flail. They have a whole bunch of techniques in order to scare you off, because they live in an area where the mammals are extremely large and they're likely to step on them. And after we put everyone's phones away for the next portion, I really appreciate it.
This way. Are we gonna see a baleen python? Maybe just one glance, an adult one.
I think there's one in here. If you guys want to go on either side of these yellow lines, just in a way that you can see, I'm going to be standing in the middle, so just as long as you're not in the middle of this area, you'll be all right.
An adult, yeah.
I did.
You want to step back.
On a Wednesday, and they let everybody hold one of these.
A baleen? Yeah. Problem is, nobody knows how to breed it. Even Kevin does.
Yeah. I think they've only bred. She goes to school. I don't need her flipping off. Right, and that was in Europe. They're trying to get her here. Did you see the one that reptile showed every day with a baby?
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
The big ones. Holding it up.
Yeah, they're much shinier than rainbow boa.
Yeah.
I could actually see. No, the middle one. No, the middle.
Oh,
This here
can I
is
take a
bowling
video of that?
python. Yep.
See, I'm not.
That's a
Before we
baleen
start the
python.
venomous show, I just had a special request to show you guys my
my
favorite python. These guys have some of the most beautiful colors between these tiger stripes that go all down their body and that beautiful rainbow iridescence. This animal isn't even in its most colorful state right now, and it still just looks absolutely gorgeous.
I love the color.
The rainbow, the matte black to the shiny suede, especially on the top of his head. You guys can see he almost looks like suede.
You are stunning.
Oh, it looks like you would
Like
feel like
Vanta black.
Yeah, he looks like he'd feel like
You can see like a little bit of the color.
I can bring them real close, but you know, you can be a little tricky. These guys are arboreal. You can tell by the fact that he has all black on top and all white on the bottom. That's signature for arboreal animals who are living in kind of a mid-level.
Whoop! He likes the camera. Beautiful. If the camera only could focus.
Yeah, like the little.
That's a beautiful one.
It feels like sweet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Unless you pay them back.
Put her down.
This
She was
is
really at a state where it was just. It was
Reticulated
unfortunate to
python with a
continue to see her
quite a nice
like that.
iridescence here.
You know, she's his baby.
Here is a reticulated python. Can't get enough of these guys. This is the latest and greatest of ball pythons. Just kidding. Reticulated python.
So
Wow.
pretty. I love the shine.
Absolutely. Are there any?
So that's what, a $90,000 snake?
I'm actually not sure what this animal's going for.
I think that's what
We're raising up a lot of our
that's what
animals
Rob
right
said
now.
for one of the adults that they had. Somebody offered him like almost 90 grand for it.
Yeah.
Are there
Super-
Strange
Here's a
mutation.
leucistic reticulated
So when they
python.
start whipping around, we gotta just make sure that they get to the ground or get to somewhere where they can stop, just so they don't give themselves whiplash.
That is gorgeous.
That's a lot like how the first generation retic babies act. They're very runny, you know, that quick to try and get away or freak out, not understand.
I'm waiting until I graduate to get a snake. And then after, yeah. I think they said they were pregnant.
The green anaconda.
Just need more time for
Is it probably not a like
We had a bunch of,
Don't
we
have
had
time
two
for a
snakes
baby right
and
now.
all kinds of animals when I was in college.